Trilogy Metals is one of the most talked about and most controversial junior mining stocks on the market today. On one side, you have a company sitting on a world-class copper deposit in Alaska, perfectly positioned for the global transition to green energy. On the other, you had a project that was, until very recently, drowning in political and regulatory uncertainty, causing Wall Street analysts to send dangerously mixed signals. Not long ago, some analysts were pointing to a $4.50 price target, suggesting a massive potential drop. Yet others saw a path to $10. What is the real story? Are bullish investors walking into a trap, blinded by copper fever? Or is this a once-in-a-generation opportunity? Well, in early October 2025, the entire game changed. In this video, we are going to break down the bull case, the bear case, and the two massive developments that just rewrote the entire story. I will tell you what I think is really happening with Trilogy Metals and whether it is a buy, sell, or a stock to just watch from the sidelines. Alright, let us start with the bull case, because it is compelling. The story of Trilogy Metals, or TMQ, revolves around one thing: the Ambler Mining District in northwestern Alaska. This is not just any piece of land. It is considered one of the world's richest known copper-dominant districts. Trilogy holds a 50% interest in the project through a joint venture called Ambler Metals, with the other 50% owned by the globally diversified mining giant South32. That partnership itself is a bullish signal. Having a major player like South32 as an equal partner lends credibility and, more importantly, shares the enormous financial burden of developing a mine in such a remote location. The assets themselves are the crown jewels. The joint venture controls the Upper Kobach mineral projects, which include two key deposits, Arctic and Bornite. The Arctic deposit is the star of the show. 8. It is a high-grade deposit containing not just copper but also zinc, lead, gold, and silver. A 2023 feasibility study on Arctic showed incredibly robust economics, and that was before the recent run-up in metals prices. The macro environment is the powerful tailwind for Trilogy. You simply cannot have a green energy transition without copper. Electric vehicles, wind turbines, solar panels, and the massive grid upgrades we need all require staggering amounts of copper. And right now the world is facing a looming copper shortage. This has put companies like Trilogy with massive, undeveloped resources in a politically stable jurisdiction like Alaska in an incredibly strategic position. Western governments are waking up to the fact that their supply chains for critical minerals are dangerously dependent on foreign rivals. The desire to onshore production of these metals is no longer just an economic argument. It is a matter of national security. This is the narrative that has investors so excited about TMQ's long-term potential. If they can get the metal out of the ground, the demand is undeniably there. Now, for the bear case. If the assets are so great and demand is so high, why was not this stock a slam dunk? The answer has always been one of the biggest and most expensive problems in mining: infrastructure, or in this case, the total lack of it. The Ambler Mining District is located in a remote part of Alaska with no roads connecting it to the outside world. To get the minerals to port, they need a road, specifically a proposed 211-mile private industrial road known as the Ambler Access Project. This road is the key that unlocks everything. Without it, the billions of dollars worth of minerals in the Arctic and Bornite deposits are, for all practical purposes, stranded assets. And this road has been at the center of a massive political and legal battle. Environmental groups and some local indigenous communities have raised serious concerns about its potential impact. This led to a political tug-of-war. The Trump administration first approved the road's permits, but then the Biden administration suspended and later blocked the project in 2024. And then, in October 2025, everything changed. In a dramatic reversal, the Trump administration approved an appeal, directing federal agencies to reissue the necessary permits for the road. But that was not even the biggest news. In a stunning move, the White House announced that the U.S. federal government was making a $35.6 million investment into the project. As part of the deal, the government is taking an initial 10% equity stake in Trilogy Metals, with warrants to purchase more. It even gets to appoint a director to the company's board. The government is not just an observer anymore, it is a partner. This fundamentally alters the risk profile. The single biggest bear case political opposition has been turned on its head. While legal challenges from opponents are still likely, fighting a project that is now actively backed and owned by the US government is a much, much tougher battle. So how do we process this new reality? First, let us look at Trilogy's financial health. The company is still in the pre-revenue development stage, meaning it is spending money, not making it. Its last financial report before this news, in late 2025, showed a cash position that was getting lean. However, the government's $35.6 million investment provides a massive and immediate cash infusion. With about $17.8 million going directly to Trilogy, this instantly strengthens the balance sheet and reduces the near-term risk of shareholder dilution from frantic fundraising. This is where the old Analyst ratings get turned upside down. That $4.50 price target was based on the binary risk of the road failing. It represented a valuation where the project's potential was crushed by political uncertainty. But with the US government now a shareholder, that binary risk has shifted dramatically. The government has declared that developing the Ambler District is a matter of national and economic security. My hidden angle? I think the market is still catching up to what this truly means. The government's investment is not just a vote of confidence, it is a strategic alignment. This sends a powerful signal to every other stakeholder, from financing partners to the courts, that this project is a national priority. While analysts at firms like BMO Capital Markets and TD Securities are still cautious with hold ratings and price targets in the $5.50 range, Cantor Fitzgerald has upgraded the stock to a buy with a $10 target, reflecting this new reality. The project is far from de-risked. There are still legal, environmental, and construction hurdles, but it has been politically re-risked in Trilogy's favor in the most powerful way imaginable. So, after this seismic shift, what is my financial outlook on Trilogy Metals? Here is my take, that $4.50 price target is now a historical artifact. It is a relic from a time when the project's biggest risk was the government. Now, the government is its partner. Upside potential is enormous, and it is no longer just a hypothetical scenario. If the Ambler Road gets built and the Arctic mine goes into production in a world starved for copper, this stock will be a massive winner. The entire investment thesis still boils down to your personal conviction on the Ambler Access Project and your tolerance for risk. But the odds have just improved dramatically. For me, Trilogy Metals has moved from a watchlist stock to a speculative buy. The reason is simple. The primary risk, the political and permitting risk, has been substantially mitigated by the federal government's direct investment and executive action. An investment here is a bet that federal backing will overcome the remaining legal and construction hurdles. This is still a stock for an investor with a high risk tolerance and a multi-year time horizon. But before, you were betting against the political winds. Now, you would be betting alongside them. I believe the risk-reward profile has fundamentally shifted in favor of the bulls, but that is just my analysis. This is a complex situation that changed overnight. What do you think? Are you bullish on the road getting built now that the government is a shareholder? Or do you think the legal and environmental challenges will still win out? Drop your price target and your reasoning in the comments below. I read every single one, and I am genuinely curious to hear what you think. And if you got any value from this deep dive, do me a favor and hit that like and subscribe button. It helps the channel immensely. Thanks for watching.